Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, very much.
Okay, great. Okay, so just one thing I want to say first of all. Please don't make it as a one way thing, I would be talking, I would be asking you your research, or, what exactly your research areas are. So please be, you're free to speak, you're free to ask questions. It's not going to be a one way talk where, a person comes, speaks, and leaves. So I am expecting, a conversation here, not a lecture. So please be be there in the class, be there in the sessions. Okay.
Nikita, before you begin the session, just a quick thing that as of now, the status is that everyone has figured out their research topic on which they are willing to work on, right?
Okay.
So maybe for you all the students, I'm just giving you an indication that today you can relate with your particular topic, and based on that, you can ask ma'am the questions at the end of the session. Maybe it will be helpful for you to maybe discover more about the context you are working on.
Yeah,
Please, ma'am.
definitely we can do that. Yes, that would be
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah. So basically, uh, inquisitiveness is the key to any research question. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of this word? It's a very long word. Anyone? Yes,
Inclusion.
I just told you.
Curiosity? Is it curiosity, ma'am?
Exactly. Yes, it's curiosity. So basically, you know what? Curiosity is very important if you want to work in, research area. If you want to work in this field, it is very important that you are curious to know new things. You are curious to, know some facts. You're trying to know some things which are not better known yet. So it is very much important that you are a curious person if you want to be a researcher or a scientist, or so first of all, curiosity, do not let it die. Think about certain things that you read in the newspapers, in blogs, in wherever. So just be curious as a person. So you'll find your research question when you'll be curious, right? Any person who can share me his or her research question, if someone is willing to. Just your research area on what exactly you are trying to work on. No, nobody wants to share.
Ma'am, gene editing and its impact on human rights and how UDHR will impact it also.
I couldn't understand the first part of the question. I'm sorry. Can you please repeat?
Ma'am, gene editing, that is the topic of
Okay, gene editing. Okay, okay. Yeah. Gene editing, and exactly how. So basically, you're trying to know how exactly it's a human, it affects human rights, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can I please ask if how exactly you finalize this? How exactly, like, what forced you to, why exactly you are curious to know this? Because there might be thousands of other research topics which you think they're not very interesting, but you found this very interesting. Is there any particular reason, or
Uh, we were discussing it in the human rights class, and it was a way that the whole class became interested, and we started arguing on points, and there came up topics of how celebrity kids look just like themselves. Then there came up they say in the end of the movie they were said that this is based on actual news reports and everything. I went on behind that, and it was a very interesting take. And there they mentioned how they would edit those genes in order to get these women a brighter uh, fish basically, and also how they used those collagen basically to come up and uh, change the genes so that they don't harm other genes and to alter genes basically to cure diseases.
Yeah.
That's what I got through this.
So basically, you watched a movie and you got curious, right? And that is how you are interested in a topic, and this is your research area. I mean, see, so basically, it is all curiosity. Why? See, I asked you this question because I just wanted to convey to the whole, a whole lot of people that you can get your research question from anywhere. It's not important that you have to read thousands of papers, and it's basically you can get your research question from anywhere. So basically, what is your name, if I may ask?
Ma'am, it is Krishna.
Krishna. So basically, see, Krishna found her research topic from a movie because because she was curious enough to know what exactly is going on. So that is what I just wanted to say. You can find your research question, and after that, if you have already, if something is, you're curious about something, so you can read more and more about it, and after that you can finalize it. And after that you can actually finalize it, right? So you, there might be certain topics that you are curious about, but we'll be discussing that you cannot research every research topic, everything that you are curious about, right? So you have to choose certain things. So what exactly you can do is, if you find that something is interesting, you can read more about it, you can get some information about it, and after that you can just see that whether you are actually interested in it or it just ends there. Because curiosity can be temporary also, right? So you can just choose. So that is a journey that you have to undertake, while you are researching. So perception conception is a thing that, how you are perceiving something and what exactly is a concept about something, how you act. So basically you have to find what is your location in the research right now. I'll be discussing more about it, and then you'll be able to understand. So choosing a subject and a topic. So basically, a subject is a very broad and a general thing, such as a nuclear science. So basically, human rights, right? Krishna was just telling us. So basically, if you say her subject is human rights, but her topic is gene editing, I think that answers the question, that you are able to understand the difference between the subject and a topic. So subject is a very broad thing. It can be a field of research, it can be a subject, right? For example, physics is a very broad theme, chemistry is a very broad theme, right? But topic is a very focused and a precise, it's a narrower subset of a subject, right? So it is very important that you're not just working on a subject, it is very important that you know what your topic you want to work on. Are you able to understand this? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, uh, so most of you have already identified your research problem and topic. So I think you know this already, but I'll just quickly, we'll quickly scan through the slide. So basically, there are two approaches to identify the research problem. One is the deduction approach, and one is the induction approach. So as we just heard from Krishna, that she watched a movie, uh, right, and after that she was curious about this gene editing thing, and then this approach is. Krishna, do you know what approach are you following? Whether this is deduction or induction?
I don't know what approach I'm following, ma'am, but I think it is deduction.
Okay. So I'll just quickly tell you. Deduction is something when you move from a broad concept to a topic, right? So when there is a broad theme, for example, so it's basically opposite that you're doing. Deduction was when you are, so basically I can tell you, you are following the induction approach, because what we do in induction is we move from a topic to a broader concept. So what you did, you chose your topic first of all, that which was gene editing, and then you're now relating it with a broader concept, which is what? Human rights. I hope,
Yes, ma'am.
is that okay? Is there
Yes, ma'am.
anyone who can give me example of, because some of you might be following deduction approach also. Can anyone give me example if you are able to understand it now? When you're moving from a concept to a topic. Yes? Anyone? Nobody's following the reduction, or you can just tell me what your research area is, what topic are you working on, then I can explain it to you whether you what approach are you actually following. Yes? Anyone?
Um, Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Ma'am, my topic is legal aspects on climate change and sustainable development.
Okay.
Yes, so I think I am following the induction method from topic to the broader level.
Yes, actually, you are also following because see, climate change is a very big thing, right? It's a broad topic, and you can have certain aspects of it, like legal aspects, social aspects, political aspects, right? But you're working on the legal
Legal
aspects.
aspects.
Yes, so you are also following the induction approach. So I hope that's clear to you, right? Like the difference between the two approaches, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, great. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So exactly what can be the sources of your research problem? There can be many sources, right? You can just find it out from a movie. For example, you're watching a web series and you are very much interested in a topic. So it can be from anywhere, but I'll just tell you very quickly what can be the sources of research problem. So sources of research problem can be from static as well as dynamic sources. Dynamic I'll be telling you what static sources are first of all. So static sources are very conventional, you know, which basically are static in nature. You know what is the difference between static and dynamic first of all? Yes.
Dynamic dynamic research problem would be something that is ever changing, that is constantly moving, like news, I guess.
Yes.
And
Actually, you know all the social media handles that you see, right? They're very dynamic. Blogs, they're very dynamic, right? And if you see, I mean, what can be other examples? So we'll be talking about examples. So yes, dynamic is right. Dynamic is which changes more often. Static is which is, less of change you see in static sources. So books, for example, books are very dynamic. New editions are there. There are new editions, new volumes, but then they're not very often. It takes a lot of hard work to come up with a new version, new volume of a book. To update a book, it's very difficult. Like I was just noticing that the NCRT that I read in class 9 and 10, we're still following the same NCRTs. They haven't yet updated even a single NCRT. So you can see how much static they are. Yes, I hope you're able to understand the difference. Yes,
yes, ma'am.
so
Yes,
book is a very static source. Journals also, research papers, journals, books, reports, newspapers, seminars. So once they are collated, it is very difficult to change the data, whatever it is there in those sources. Right. On the other hand, these are all the static sources. Right. You can just see, just have a look. It's not very important for you. Trust me. Okay. Now, what can be the dynamic sources are? Dynamic can be of very types, face to face, digital, and persons. Right. So, face to face is when you are, observing someone, speaking, or something like that. For example, classroom lecture. Like Krishna was mentioning that she was attending a lecture and everybody was so much interested in a topic. Yes. So that is a dynamic resource when somebody is speaking. So whatever I'm speaking today, I can change it very quickly. It's not a static source. Yes, because I'm still speaking. So it's changing every, whatever I'm speaking, it's changing every moment. Are you able to understand?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, okay. Whatever class discussions, right? Paper presentations. Paper presentations, why they are in dynamic resource and why they are not in the, see, journals were there in the static resource, but can anyone tell me why paper presentation is a dynamic resource?
Journals get published while paper presentation is on a simple paper, and many people will write on the topic, and they may cover very many different aspects, and each one will have a different opinion on the topic, and they might change their views or they give different views on it. While in journal writing, what you are saying should be correct, verified, and they should be able to publish it in a recognized journal so as to print that out to the world and say that this is the right information.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Whatever you have said is 100% right. Paper presentation, basically, the difference is whenever you are writing a paper, you have to put out the references, which needs to be verified. So, whatever data you are presenting, that should be checked. Papers are edited, but in a paper presentation, it is not like that. Paper presentations are something when you just put out your idea on in a presentation, whatever paper you want to work on, right? So that is why it is considered more of a dynamic resource compared to the static resource, right? So dynamic resource can be digital also, like I just mentioned, blogs, social media, emails, discussion forums. There are a lot of discussion forums these days. All right, then it can be personal also, like your colleagues. So you just heard some of your, one of your colleague talking about some, sea level rise or something. Okay, so you're just very fascinated, you're just very curious about that topic. So you just started working on it, right? Then parents also, sometimes parents also influence. So basically, it's a very, one of my friends, so her mother was she was a victim of domestic violence, so she wanted to become a lawyer, right? So parents also influence us in certain ways. So uh, guides, teachers, practitioners. So basically, if I've heard any expert or a practitioner talking about some blogs, talking in a YouTube video about something, so you might get very curious and fascinated about that topic. So these are all the dynamic, sources of research. Okay, so it doesn't matter from where you get the idea of your research, right? But you can get from all of these sources. Okay. Now, so okay, you are very much fascinated and curious about a topic, but is your topic, whatever you're thinking in your head, is it worth researching? That is the criteria. So, how exactly, you can identify whether a research topic is worth researching or not? It depends on two factors. One is internal and one is external. Right? So, what can be the internal criteria is it's specific to you, right? For example, your interest, it is very important that you are interested in the research topic. Second is competence. So, for example, I hope you're all lawyers, right? Most of you, I believe.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes. So basically, you are competent to work on a legal topic. But if someone asks you to work on artificial intelligence, to develop, something like Chat GPT, are you competent enough?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No. It might fascinate you. Might be you're curious about it, but you're not competent to work in that field. Since you're lawyers, maybe you can work on the legal aspects of AI, right? But you're not competent. I'm also not competent enough to do certain things. So this is also a very important thing. You should know what you are competent of and what you can research on, right? Third is the resources. What resources you have at your disposal. That is also very important. So I can just tell you one example. So I wanted to research on very much on uh, so basically I heard an expert talk uh, in in a seminar, and I was very much fascinated about the terrorism in Africa, right? But I was not able to gather the data. I was not able to get the resources for conducting that research. So I just couldn't work on that topic because I was not able to get the data. I was not having access of the data. So it is very important, you know, you are curious, you are even competent, you are even interested in the topic, but you're not having the resources. For example, some of you might be very much interested in, working, understanding why the violence is taking place in Manipur, but you're not able to gather the resources, to work on that particular topic. So it is very important. Resource is a very important thing, right? So these are all the internal criteria for selecting your research topic, right? What can be the external criteria? First is the researchability of the problem. Researchability of the problem means whether the problem itself is worth researching or not, right? So, can anyone tell me how you can understand whether the problem is worth researching? Anyone? Yes? Oh, okay, I'll give you 10 more seconds to think. Okay, why do you think? I'll just change the question now. Why do you think whatever research topic you are working on is worth researching? Okay, let me ask Krishna. Krishna, why do you think your topic is worth researching?
Because I'm curious about it, and gene editing is a topic that will come up, has come up, and it is in the very side corners. Like a few years ago, AI was what was something for us, like it was in the very corners of the area, but now it is in the forefront. So just like that, I think gene editing will come forth, and it's a very interesting topic. People are using it. There is a reason to believe more people will use it, and it has been helping, but there are also human rights implications and what could go wrong implications, basically. So I think
Yes.
that is the researchability of the problem.
Exactly. So you think, whatever I have understood is, you think that, you know, not much of the research has been done yet, and it is very important to conduct research on this because it affects it affects the human rights of, you know, and it affects the whole humanity, right?
Yes.
And you, as what you think is not much of the research, not much of the heed has been paid to it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes, that is why you think it is worth researching. Very nice. Somebody raised the hand. I think it was Tracy, right? Yes, Tracy, please.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Actually, as my previous one said, we need to work in a particular topic of research. We do research as because we don't have ample of amount of knowledge acquired in that topic, and we feel that that topic should become in the highlight of the society, as we can enlighten the others and the students and the others to uh, make that topic. To work as a social worker or make that topic a justified topic for which we can be more progressive, we can encourage our liberal thoughts and our human ethics.
Yeah, so basically, you think so. Uh, Actually, the second point is both of you have talked about the second point, that is the novelty of the problem. So, you think, generally the topics that are worth researching are those on which not much of the research has yet been undertaken, and you see that there is a gap. You think that this is something that has not been done, and this should be worked upon. This is very important to the humanity. This is very important to this group of people. Basically, it's not important that your research is applicable to all the human beings on this planet. Might be to a section, right? There are people who are working on a particular ethnic group also, right? So their research is limited to one ethnic group, but it is important to those people, right? So novelty of the problem, it is also very important. And not just novelty, it was nobody knew about coronavirus, right? But then it came and everything was revolving around that virus. Every research, there were research labs which were set up for this, right? So it was very important and urgent. So there were a lot of funds which were transferred to, for the research on how exactly we can cure this, from where exactly it is coming. Right, so it was very important and urgent. Next is the facility. Facilities are like I just told you that there were labs which were set up, right? So creation of facilities is also very important, right? So whatever you are researching on, for example, you are working on legal aspects of climate change. Somebody is working on legal aspects of climate change and sustainability. So that person should know, should have the facility of basically how exactly climate change is affecting the life of people on whatever area, whatever region he or she is working on, right? Then only he would be able to understand the legal aspects of it, right? So facilities should be given to a researcher for conducting the research, and it is very important in the field of sciences, right? And last is the feasibility. uh, they are very much connected to each other, facility and feasibility, whether the research, whether the topic is feasible of conducting the research or not, whether you are able to conduct the research, right? So these are all the external criteria. These external criteria are basically not dependent on the researcher, but these are all external, on which researcher has no control. Sometimes the researcher has not any control. For example, the importance and the urgency, facilities given from a university. I think somebody has raised hand or something. Okay, was there a message? The category of rights of women protected under C. What is CEDAW? I don't know. Okay, this is an older message. Sorry. Is the presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these are all the external criteria. More external criteria are research personnel, magnitude of the research, financing is very important. Or you'll understand the financing part of the research uh, when you actually will conduct it. Because if you do not have the funds to conduct some research, to conduct a survey, so you won't be able to conduct it. Time is also very important. Ethical consideration, for example, uh, so is there, so like you are working, somebody was working on gene editing, Krishna, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you cannot edit the genes and then you can see how exactly it would affect, right? It would affect the humanity,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So these are all the ethical consideration. You cannot harm people for conducting a research. And it is very much important in the behavioral sciences. Sometimes there are people who are working on the behavioral issues of people, and they get triggered. People get triggered very easily when they are asked questions, right? For example, in the last batch of the sessions, there was a person who was working on the homosexuality issue, right? He was working on the legal aspect of homosexuality. So basically, there are a lot of people who do not want to reveal their identity, right? So it is very important that you, as a researcher, undertake all the ethical considerations which are important for conducting the research. I hope that's clear, right? Since you're a law student, you can only work on the legal aspects of a particular thing, right? So probably you
Hmm.
will be working on the legal aspects of how human rights are violated, right? So what is the reason? research from the idea to the focused research question that is there in this slide. How exactly you can do that?
Okay, ma'am. Thank
So
you.
basically, what you're doing is you're funneling it down, filtering your idea, and then
Got it.
reaching to a research question. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Funneling your research down to the research question.
Ma'am, can I share
Yes.
my research topic?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Ma'am, it is on cyber laws, like it's on effectiveness of cyber laws. So,
Please mute it. So basically, you want to analyze the effectiveness of the cyber laws, right?
yes, ma'am.
So you know, there are many cyber laws, right? So cyber law. Uh, I think cybersecurity, cyber law can be considered as an idea these days. I don't know much about it, but still, it down to the research question. Like you are trying to read about cyber effectiveness or cyber law in what sense? What laws are you talking about here? Are you talking about the Indian context? Are you talking about Indian laws, international laws, financial laws? I mean, you have to funnel down the laws first of all. Are there laws which are not effective, like you feel that, or there are no laws at all? So what exactly is the situation right now, and what are the gaps in it? I think that should be the research question. Also, the area that you want to work on, right? Whether you want to work on a region specific, for example, you want to work on the laws which are there in India, international level, right? Or maybe in the financial aspects, privacy aspects. So I think that you should funnel down first.
Oh,
Is that clear?
yes,
uh, I hope that makes some sense. Like, I don't know much about it, but whatever I could gather is.
yes, ma'am. Actually, I was wanting to look for cyberbullying. Like, I'm not much aware about it, but I want to research on it. Like, what are the laws accordingly in India, and how is it applicable?
Yes. So uh, so you already have your research. So basically, this is how you move from the idea to the research question. So you already had an idea about the cyber law, right? And now you're talking. So you are talking about now. You have already identified the, uh, you know, uh, smaller aspect of it. One particular aspect of it, not smaller, which is bullying, cyber bullying. What are the laws, and are they, whether they are effective or not, right? So that is how. Yes, please speak. Uh, you wanted to say something?
No, ma'am. You can continue.
Okay. I hope that's clear, right, to everyone, how exactly you can move from an idea to the research question. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, you can just write it down, from the idea, and then we can talk about it. So this is what I wanted to tell you in this session. uh, how exactly you can identify, because identification is the must. Sometimes a lot of PhD scholars, they work for years, and then after 2 3 years down the line, they change their research topics, because in the first place they were not able to identify the correct research question, right? So it's very important at the first place that you know what you want to work on. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I also believe Shreyasi has written a message about wanting
Yeah,
help.
sure. I just um, Okay, a convention of the elimination of all forms of discrimination. Sorry, I didn't know what exactly is the full form. Uh, the category of the rights of women protected in this. I exactly not able to understand what are you working on. I mean, can you please explain, elaborate? Meanwhile, Shresi is typing. Is there anyone else who wants to talk about his or her research problem? Whether you are able to identify the research question from your idea of research, you can talk to me about it.
Yes, ma'am. That
Yes.
legal aspects on climate change.
Okay. So legal aspects on climate change. How exactly you're not able to identify the question?
Like I should focus on the Indian laws or the international or the, like in India we don't have the laws exactly. Means we have the laws, but it is not effective in that sense, and the cases related to that. So I'm just confused. So
Uh, it's good to be confused, actually. It's not a bad thing if you're confused. That is what my supervisor always tells me. Uh, so basically, if you want to work on legal aspects, you should narrow it down by reading more and more. Like you're telling that you think that, have you read it, or you just think that Indian environmental laws are not much effective?
I have not read it, but means I've researched it about it, some cases and some laws, like the I've collected that. I'm reading it.
Okay. See, legal aspects of climate change is a very broad topic, I would say. You need to narrow it down. So, what exactly you want to work on? Whether you want to work on a community whose legal rights are, you know. So, for example, I can tell you people, a lot of researchers work on the legal aspects of fishermen, how exactly their rights are not being protected due to climate change, right? So you need to identify, you need to narrow it down, and only you can do that. So whether you want to work on a region specific thing, you want to work only on India, you want to work, legal aspects of what? Legal aspects of whom, right? How do you think that how do you think that climate change affects climate change is taking away the rights of people? So that you have to identify yourself by reading more and more.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, and for example, I can tell you one more example. If you think that Indian laws are not effective, you can even take a case study. Why do you think Indian laws are not working in this scenario? Why do you think they are lacking? Right? That is also a type of research that you can do. That you think there is a problem in the policies. You think that lawmakers are not taking cue of what exactly happening on the ground. There is a difference between lawmakers and communities. So that is also a type of research that you can work on.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, Anyone else who wants to talk about? Yes, somebody has raised hand. I can't see you, but you can please introduce yourself and
Good
start.
evening, ma'am.
Hi.
My topic is depiction of criminal psychology through literature. So, how am I supposed to convert it into a questionnaire?
So, okay. Criminal psychology into literature. So, what do you want to research about it? The depiction.
Yes, ma'am. I am going to depict about the criminal psychology through literature.
Okay, so you want to write something or you want to analyze how it is done?
I want to analyze.
Okay, so see, this can be, I mean, see, one thing I can tell you is I am from a totally different background. So all I can tell you is from a very generalistic and You can say I'm a very naive person in legal aspects and all. I'm just here for the methodology part, but I can help you from whatever I hear from you, right? Whatever you tell me about your research. So, like you're telling me about the criminal psychology, how it is depicted. So, what you can do is whether you want to take a historical view about it, how exactly in history criminal psychology has been uh, 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 used, how exactly it is being depicted in historical times, or you can, so what you can do is you can take time periods, how exactly it's changed from in different time periods, for example, you can take centuries. Colonialism, how was it done? Post colonialism, how was it depicted? Right? So you can divide your research into maybe timelines, right? For example, I can tell you one thing. There was one of my colleague who was he's from legal background, and presently he's working. He's in Jindal only. He's also professor. So he's working on how exactly Article 14 has been, depicted, has been analyzed through judgments since independence. Does that make
Got it,
sense?
ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
so maybe you can take a timeline that would make your research easier, right? Or what you can do is you can take in a country specific situation, or you can compare those. So you can either undertake a historical method, you can follow that, or you can take a comparative part also, or you can take a gender part also. Like, that is what I think which would be interesting also, if how exactly females are depicting the criminal psychology, how exactly males are depicting. So that can also be, so you have to decide what process you want to follow.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. uh, Anyone else wants to talk? Yes. Yes, I don't, I
Good evening,
please.
ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hi, good. Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, ma'am, my topic is data protection and right to privacy. So I'm going to work specifically on the data shared on the CoWIN portal.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Is that a specific topic to work
Yeah,
on?
I think it is very specific. Yes, I think it's a very specific research question. Great.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, yes, Muskan, I can see now.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Ma'am, my topic is Uniform Civil Code and the recent scenario in India. So, my question is that when you choose a topic that's quite controversial during these days, so what should one keep in mind while researching on that?
So, whenever you're working on such topics, you should know how to be unbiased, because you see a lot of things. Just remember, whatever you're trying to say, after all, you should be able to support it by the facts, whatever you are researching on. And do not have any mindset whenever you start work on such topics. Just start working on these topics, just read, and do not have a conclusion in your head when, from the time you start working on these topics. Otherwise, it can be very, it can get very messy, I can say. I've seen a lot of people. I can give you one example. There was this friend of mine who was working on demonetization. This was his MPhil research topic, and then he already had some perceptions in his head about demonetization. So as an, and he was from economy, so as an economist, it was not a very great research that he, so see, there are economists who, at that time, who supported demonetization, a lot of them still, and there are many of them who are against it. The point, the what makes you a good researcher is you are able to support what you are saying by the facts. Also published two. Anyone? Okay. So what I can tell you, Muskan, is you can read about this guy. He's a well-renowned lawyer. He's a practicing Supreme Court lawyer. And so basically, one example I can give you, when the Sabrimala verdict came, so this guy was totally against it, right? And it might not, some of you might be supporting the Sabrimala verdict, some of you might be opposing it. But what makes the difference is why you are supporting it and why you are against it. What facts are you undertaking, whether you have read about it. So do not make any conceptions in your head while you start researching. Just read, and then you know make your just uh, read and read a lot about the topic, and then you should make your decision. That's how you should do it.
Ma'am, like I have already read about this topic a lot before also because I'm also a law student. So it's like
You're a good researcher.
so like can I when I'm researching, when I'm writing a paper, can I take any stand or should I just go for a specific topic or should I just
You can take any stand, whatever you want to. It's not even important to take any stand. You can take both the stances in your, you can take into account both the parties, and then you can conclude, right? That if UCC comes in, this would be the advantages. If it doesn't come in, this would be the disadvantages. Anything you can take into account, but you should be able to support your arguments with the facts. That is all.
yes ma'am, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Vanya has. Am I?
Good evening.
Yes, you can speak. Hi, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly.
Yes, it's correct, Vanyanyas. Okay, so my topic was psychopaths and criminal responsibility. So when I started, I thought I had a specific like question in mind, but now that I'm researching it, I'm having confusion if I should approach this topic from just the stand view of UK legal system, or if I should just treat it as the treatment of psychopaths in a legal environment rather than a specific legal system like the know if it's better to have a well-rounded research, or should I just take a specific and do that? People who aren't related to the law be able to understand it, but still have that legal view to it. So I don't know for that, should I have it more well-rounded, or should I just go for a specific one?
Um, so what you can do, what I think is, so see, basically, you shouldn't follow whatever I say. It's just my views, my opinions, and they're just opinions. Do not take them very seriously. But I feel that if you're taking a legal system into account, that would be easier for you to conduct the research, because I think legal system varies a lot in every country, and the treatments to psychopaths would also be very, blatantly different in different countries, different courts. Energy security. So what I do is, if I'm not able to understand what I should right now work on, so what I do is I come up with a series of topics, and then I this paper, this topic I'll cover in the next paper, and this I'll do in the next paper. So maybe focusing on. I think country specific research would be better in this scenario. That's what my opinion is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Manisha.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Ma'am, my topic is people are very much aware about AIDS, but the major setback that is relying and also has the right to be informed about the same so that they can be protected from transmitting that AIDS. I think the people suffering from poverty and the ones living in the slum area, they think that getting succumbed to AIDS is natural as they are exploited, but I think this is a crime. So is my topic apt?
I think it is a very relevant topic. Like, I never thought it that way, but I think your topic is very, very unique, and it has the. I think it touched the right nerve. I mean, it's very good because, like I was just watching this web series. Not I don't know whether it's web series. What do we call it? It's a short movies. Lust Stories. If you might have seen it, right? The new version have came out. Have you seen it, Manisha?
No, ma'am.
So basically, the last part of it also deals with the similar topic, where a woman willingly, if some of you have not watched it, I do not want to. It's not, but I don't want to spoil it for people who have not watched it. But it also talks about the certain thing where a person uses it, as a tool to get it transferred to someone willingly, you know I don't want to spoil the suspense, so I won't talk about it much. But I think it is very important because there are people who are using it also as a tool, right? Even in the even people who are engaged in this thing. And even I have heard about this in the ISIS part also, right? They also used it as a tool. So basically, some sex slaves, they were forcefully sent to these areas as a sex slave, deceiving as a sex slave, for transmitting these diseases. So how much the ethical consideration is, how much you can justify it or not, that is a very is what I can tell you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can you like mention that series you were talking about?
It's Lust Stories Part Two. It's on Netflix. So only the last story. So there are like 4 or 5 stories in it. The last story, if you'll see, it talks. So basically, the suspense. I do not want to spoil it for people who are, who might are planning to watch it. But yes, in the last part, that is what I, because I could just relate to it because I just watched it recently, like yesterday, day before yesterday. I don't remember. So that is what the gist of it, because there was this lady who is trying to, take revenge from her husband because he is very much, he beats her and all that. So she is using another woman who is already infected from a sexual disease and who wants to get it transferred to her husband because she's trying to take revenge from him. So how much you justify it, and whether people are doing it deliberately, I think that should be a criminal offense. No, I So because I just undertook this course of terrorism, so I just finished it in the university. So there was this instance when there were women who were already infected from they already had sexual disease, not just AIDS, but they were deliberately sent as sex slave to the ISIS, so that so they would from diseases, from the sexual diseases, right? So you can also, so how much use of this is uh, so what aspect you're trying to work on? So what exactly are you trying to know? I mean, I couldn't gather. Maybe there was a. Uh,
Sorry, ma'am, I'm not getting.
I couldn't understand what you're researching on. Then maybe I'm taking it into a different direction altogether.
Ma'am, the part that you mentioned just now, the terrorism, like, was it a
Okay.
suggestion or like you were just, explaining?
No, it was just a suggestion that you can also incorporate it. It was just a suggestion, not the.
Okay, ma'am, then I'll try to add that part as well. Like, I am finding it much more interesting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
let's move to Archana now. Yeah. Yes, Archana. And Sana, you want to say something, or I think your hand is raised from a long time.
Ma'am, no, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. It's
Hello,
Archana.
ma'am. This is
Yes,
Archana.
Archana. Yeah,
Ma'am,
please.
my topic is about censorship on OTT platforms and its impact on society.
Okay.
So, my question here is can my research question freedom of a movie maker at the same time how society is getting impacted? Like, we could see crimes happening, inspiring from the web series.
Exactly.
So,
I
can
think
it
it's a
be,
two-way thing. Yes.
yeah, can we talk? Like, I actually have a confused kind of state upon both the questions.
One thing is affecting the other, right? So, you can take into the classic case here of Article 19, freedom
Yeah,
of
yeah,
speech
freedom
and
of speech.
expression,
Yes, ma'am.
wherein it's a freedom, but
Mhm.
it is attached to, there is a you're also talking about the rights of filmmakers of, but you are also undertaking into account how exactly you can curb the the violence, the spiraling violence and all that, right? So I think that is what you can undertake, and I think this is a topic which is very much worth researching, because also uh, I don't think I have read a lot about it, but I haven't seen any solid.
Yes, ma'am. There are actually a few papers who support the like freedom of filmmakers. Some papers who say that it's not right. So I did not see two things speaking in the same paper. So that is what my question is. Can we do that?
Yes, you can absolutely do that. Also, I think you can take it into a policy making thing also, how exactly you can give rights to the filmmakers, and at the same time, because these things should be done at the same time,
Yes,
not
ma'am.
in a different universe, right? It should be done hand in hand, right? So yes, you can undertake both. You can in a research paper. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Or maybe we'll be, I think, talking tomorrow as well. Varsha, can I take your question tomorrow? Because I think it's really late now.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am. Varsha, or else you can write it in the group and then ma'am can answer your question. Is there a problem?
Yeah, okay.
no, no, we'll be talking. Maybe
It's
tomorrow we
okay,
can talk
ma'am.
about the
Thank you.
research questions, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Talking tomorrow about methodology part and all that. So see you
Yes.
tomorrow then. I'll be uh, I'll be sharing the presentations also, so you can also read if you want to.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for
Okay.
today's session.